team communication has been invaluable. You can train as much as you want, but having resources for them to go to outside of training is so helpful.
Hey everyone, I'm Will Goad with RoboHead, and welcome to Behind the Process, where we talk with marketing and creative leaders about their business, the challenges they're facing, wins they've achieved, and how they just do it day after day within their organization. So today, I'm really excited to talk with two amazing folks that I've had the privilege of knowing for I think almost a decade now, Jhanelle Zurbano and Dawn Chilson with Loma Linda University Health. I'll let them introduce themselves a little bit more though. So do each of you mind just kind of sharing about a little bit more about who you are and your roles in your team and what you do? Jhanelle, do you want to start with you?
Yeah. So I'm Jhanelle Zurbano. I've been with Loma Linda University Health for going on 15 years. Um, and I am the currently the manager of design services within our team. I oversee our graphic design team, our graphic identity standards. I help kind of manage all of the ins and outs when it comes to the jobs that come in through our department, among a handful of other things, just design related. And yeah, so that is my role. And then I'll introduce my kind of counterpart here, Dawn, who is part of our design team as well. So,
I
Uh,
am Dawn Chilson. I am a project graphic designer, and that what that includes is I do some graphic design, as is my role, but I'm the behind the scenes admin on RoboHead. I do a lot of the back end building forms and things like that, processing jobs, assigning, applying schedules. Um, I also oversee our ad campaigns and keep them organized and consistent, along with the our other team. I'm obviously not the only one on that one, but lot lots of lots of working with other people on our team, which I really enjoy.
Awesome. So kind of beyond just the creative work that you're doing with the team, you all are also kind of helping manage the back end of how all the jobs and projects that you're dealing with are managed. So with that, can you kind of talk a little bit more about the team? What's the size of the team?
yeah, sure. So, our direct team, as far as designers, there's a team of six of us, including myself and Dawn, that work in the design aspect of, utilizing RoboHead.
Yeah.
But amongst us, we also have our marketing team, which consists of account executives, communication specialists, and things like that. I think, how many do we have, Dawn? About
I
four,
don't have a good count.
maybe, I want to guess,
Yeah,
that
that sounds about
utilize
right.
um, RoboHead generally on a day-to-day basis. And then we probably have another five or so that trickle in here and there that just aren't in it,
Right.
every day, but, for proofing wise or something like that, occasionally. Um, but generally, that's our team that uses RoboHead directly. But our larger team, we are made up of over, I want to say like 60 plus members of our larger team within our department. Um,
And then as far as kind of the work, so you mentioned, the designers and the work that they're doing, but like the jobs and projects that you're doing. So what's kind of the scope? If you can give kind of some examples of all the various types of things. I know you do a lot of things from digital
yeah,
to
so
print,
the
all
way
of it.
we kind of utilize it the most is our team, um, takes all of our, design jobs that come in or design requests that come in throughout the organization. So our team handles anything from a small web banner to billboards to annual reports and kind of everything in between that deals with marketing collateral for the organization. So we do stuff for clinics and the doctors, our universities. So we are the team that, that kind of all of that or majority of it kind of funnels through. So
Okay,
we
awesome.
have clients, like I said, that are like doctors or clinics, deans or school programs that reach out to those specific account executives or communication specialists, requesting the jobs and things like that. And then they get, requested through job tickets and kind of starts the process through there, works, its way through RoboHead and then gets distributed as kind of needed. So that's how generally how that process kind of works for us.
Okay, awesome. And so you're doing everything like you said from web banners to kind of large format billboards
Mhm.
to you know annual reports. So with that, what are, and it's all potentially, public facing or at least, within the organization, facing out to the rest of the organization. So what are some of the challenges and this doesn't have to be, RoboHead specific. I'm just kind of curious, like what are some of the biggest challenges that you would say, your team faces when trying to manage all of those different various types of jobs that are coming into you?
Uh, I mean everything.
Everything.
Um, I me and Don kind of talked about this recently too, and our I think our biggest challenges are generally timelines, workload. We are a small, I always refer to us as a small but mighty design team. So timelines, our workload, um, client expectations, and those like communication, which, RoboHead has definitely helped us out with. And then implementing those processes and the communicating all those things. So I feel like they all kind of tie into each other, a little bit, but I would say probably our top two would definitely probably be our timelines and our workload.
Okay.
Um, just because, like I said, we are a small but mighty team. Yeah.
So it's how do we get it done in the right period of time, set the right expectations, and then obviously as you have all this stuff flying in at you, how do you get the right kind of butts in the right seats to do the work? How have you dealt with that? How have you, so if that's the challenge, what are some ways you've done to maybe either set expectations or increase your throughput or,
A lot of trial and error for
yeah,
sure. Um, but I think, when it comes to timelines and stuff, just it's kind of hard because they're always changing. There's not one set. We've come to learn that there's not one set of processes or way to do it
gotcha.
everything. So I think we've had to be a little bit of adaptable, but also, set somewhat of a standard and kind of help communicate that to the team, what our process is. Um, just yeah, figuring out we do try and set when we say standard, we set a standard, but no, it has to be flexible when it comes to
Yeah,
certain things. So I think that's it, knowing that they have an expectation, but we as our team has been able to adjust it in um, as needed. But yeah, I think I don't know, Dawn, do you have am I missing out? Um,
No, a big part of it is the ability to have the multiple templates, like schedule templates within
yeah,
workers. RoboHead. Sorry, we
yep,
just swapped over.
no
Um,
worries.
but having those, like Jhanelle said, we have our standard timeline that is a set. This many days is our standard. But then we have certain jobs that take a little longer because they need an administration round, or we take a little shorter because they're just grabbing assets and sending them on to somebody else. And so the fact that we are able to set multiple schedules and be able to apply those templates as needed to jobs helps.
Gotcha. That's always exciting. I think, I've seen sometimes where folks in your position try to be a little bit overly rigid or overly flexible. And so it seems like you're one of the big keys for you to get the work done and to keep kind of your customers happy is to set expectations, but also know
Right.
when we need to adjust and kind of move the goalpost because this really does need to be done tomorrow, or we really do need to kind of force this thing in and move something else out. Is that so? So that flexibility seems
Yeah.
like that's the big key is we've got the framework, but then we might have to adjust it to serve, a specific need.
As an example, you talked about needing something to, this week instead of three
Yeah, yeah.
weeks from now. We made a template, a schedule template that was specifically for rush jobs, and it basically supersedes everything else. Oh, is it doesn't matter if this is digital or print, which we have schedules for each of those separately. Now, if this is rush, it goes into the rush template, and we basically like, just adjust it from there.
God, I love that, because then you're still kind of this happens enough that, hey, we've got a framework for how we can do this effectively.
Right.
And then, again, it's kind of neat because it seems like you're finding that balance of, like we're not just saving the ideal. And when we say template, we're talking about like workflows, right? So all the things that have to get done to get this thing printed or published or deployed, whatever the product is that you're producing. And so you've even kind of said, hey, rushes happen enough that these are the things to most effectively get a rush job done. And now I can just swap out our normal workflow when it makes sense with this other thing that we know will help us kind of expedite the process. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, so when you think of like, Dawn, I know you both have been here for years at Loma Linda. So any specific like challenges or turning points, as you've set those expectations or try to figure it out, how do we define the process but still be flexible? Are there any specific areas where there was like a real strong like rub and it was a challenge? And yeah, I'd just love to know if you've kind of hit any walls as you've kind of underwent this change management over the years and how you got through it.
Um, we've hit walls. A lot of it is the initial setup. And then as I took over into, changed my role into supporting the jobs and the workflow, I would go through the setup that I had been trained on and go, but this one doesn't fit. This one doesn't fit. And we didn't have a workflow for rush jobs or for shorter jobs or longer jobs as much as we have now. And so hitting the wall, and a lot of it is now when I hit a wall, I will go to Jhanelle and say, hey, I've thought this through and I just need to talk it over with somebody. So a lot of it is sometimes all you do is talk it over or say it out loud and your brain makes the connection. Sometimes Jhanelle has like thrown something at me and I'm like, I never thought of it that way. Or same thing with you, Will. We'll go to you if we can't think of anything and you come up with something and we're like, oh, wow, no, we're coming at it from this way, and you're coming at it from that way, and let's try that. So I like having that open communication.
Okay. I think just knowing, yeah, I agree with Dawn. Anytime that I feel like, transitioning over into RoboHead, anytime that we've hit a wall, really, it's most of the time, like she said, we talk amongst ourselves, and then we'll bring it to you, and you find out what our possibilities are. Can this happen? Does this not? Is it possibly in the works? And if those, generally. I feel like none of them have really been like hard nose in a sense. It's been like either like a not right now or not particularly the way that we envision it. So it's finding
different way to approach
other
it.
paths or other ways to approach it has been helpful because like Dawn said, we think about it in our head and then saying it out loud and it's like, oh, well, what if we tried it this way instead? So I think that's been really how we've kind of gone about the process. It's not really we've hit pauses. It's really how I feel like we've gone through it. It's not really like hard, like I said, no hard stops. We've found ways to make it work, and so I think just really walking it through, and kind of
being open
and do it, yeah.
Being open to other processes is I think a part of what has helped us.
Okay, so kind of being willing to recalibrate and say, hey, maybe the way we've always done it could use kind of let's look at it a little bit differently, and maybe that's just for this one-off, or maybe that's an actual process change that we're going to do across the department going forward.
And it's also helped us in other areas too, not just ones that don't work. But if we've come across something, we've sometimes highlighted and be like, oh, if we're making it work this way, when we do this other thing, we can do it this way too. So it's also helped the processes that do work well, make them better. So it's just, yeah.
Gotcha. So I'm curious when you mentioned like tight timelines and workload. I've worked with a lot of marketing and creative services teams that are kind of in-house within a larger organization.
Mhm.
And one of the biggest challenges, you mentioned rush jobs, and earlier you mentioned people that have to, they not only ask for it, but then you also have them and all these other stakeholders that may have to approve what you're building or at least give feedback on it. Seems like that's always a bottleneck. Someone who wants it immediately doesn't always provide feedback immediately so they can get that thing immediately. How do you, one, I guess, do you guys ever run into those challenges with folks not providing feedback quickly? And are there any tricks or anything you've come across to help expedite that process so your team can actually produce what you're producing?
We definitely get what we like to call them as a hurry up and wait.
Okay.
Jobs, they start out as a rush and, there's some type of fire, they need it right now, we work on
Yeah.
it and then it's just sits because we have to wait for approvals. We have to wait. Somebody has to look at it. Something waiting. Um, I think it just more so goes into that like flexibility of us knowing too that it's not going to stick to that specific standard rush template that even we have created. We have to still go in even then and further tweak it just slightly. Um, it's been helpful to have like some of the things within RoboHead that we can send reminders for, like, hey, don't forget to approve this. The at mentions and the notes and stuff like, hey, do we have any follow up on this? And that has been
Maybe
helpful
nagging.
for us because we can use that as like a backlog of knowing like it's been sitting since a week or two already because the last note that we had or whatever. So that helps us also keep a timeline and time frame of where this job is kind of just floating in the air in the meantime. And then we know like it hasn't been forgotten. It's just nobody's gone back to us just yet. And we have that backlog. So I think that is helpful for us. Um,
Having the audit trail of the notes that go with the jobs, which we are utilizing so much in RoboHead, we ask everybody, don't go to Teams chat, don't go to anything else. Put the question in a note and at mention us. And that has helped so much with our communication and basically keeping a log of like communication for each job.
Gotcha.
yeah.
So kind of
We've
having that
also
centralized. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
we've also set up where we have like on certain jobs, like, some of our ad campaign things or billboards, for example, separate levels of review. So we have like a standard review that a certain team or certain bunch of individuals proof. And after that's been set up, then, Dawn's been able to set up an admin review that goes to,
Okay.
the higher level of leadership that has to review these as like a final approval. So that's been helpful also, and I think there's a lot of flexibility within like the roles and review groups and things like that we can pull in other people at any kind of given time
Mhm.
also to review as needed because somebody might not need to approve it at first, but come later they're like, oh yeah, I want somebody else to look at it now.
Okay.
So that's been helpful having that kind of flexibility to adjust throughout the timeline.
And then kind of keeping that in one spot. So
Hmm.
the brief's not here and the notes aren't over in Teams and we don't have a
Yes.
bunch of email with files in them. Keeping it
Yes.
all kind of in one centralized place
Mhm.
helps
Yes.
streamline that process a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think my favorite, not favorite story, but it's always interesting when I'm working with clients and they'll talk about a specific job or project that they're working on and they say like, someone's let's everyone picks on sales, so we'll say sales. So sales asked, sales or client relations or, provider communications, like ask for something. And then they're like, where's that at? And they're like, well, it's been sitting, you haven't approved it yet. Like, and they're like, why haven't I gotten it yet? And I said, well, you haven't told us it looks good yet. So, as we
Yeah, and
go,
it's nice because we can show, our account
yeah,
executives and stuff where to see where jobs are sitting and stuff like that. So we also leave it, give them that ability to like it's not like we're hiding any of like
yeah,
the where it's at. They can go, they have the ability to view it and stuff on their own. They're not always waiting, for one side or the other. There's always that like kind of the availability of open communication is there and they can see it. It's more so, on them if they decide to peek into it or not.
That's interesting that you say that, like the visibility. So I guess I'm wondering, do you think maybe even a subconscious, like, do you think that helps with some of like the timelines too? Because they're able to see where things are at, who they're with, and that gives them some insight into the fact that like, hey, these things require time. We have a lot of stuff in queue. You don't just ask for this and it magically appears in a couple of days. Do you think that visibility not only helps them know where their stuff's at, but also does it help them kind of appreciate and understand maybe more what your team is doing and all the stuff that you're juggling to try to deliver to them? Or yeah, or am I
Yeah.
being
No, well,
overly
I think it
idealistic?
on different levels. It helps certain of our account executives to see what they have individually on their load and their job list. And then for our leadership and our department heads, we usually send them reports and they can see and they have that ability to view I guess what everybody has. So that I think it is very helpful because just recently like our numbers have gone up job wise. So, I've let them know like, hey, we just ran this report. This is where we're at. Our numbers are getting up there. I utilize the resource utilization a lot
Hmm.
with our stuff. So, we it's good to be able to throw them those visuals and those, reports and they see, you know, where everybody's at. Because it's one thing I think to like just tell them, hey, our numbers are high, but there's another thing to be like, this is why do you see all these jobs? These are, and for us, it's helpful to see what areas they are coming from.
Yes.
If it's, children's hospital, all these children's hospital jobs, or are they, university jobs, or, it also helps them prioritize, like, just in general, if there's like an event, like this one needs to go first, or, so it is definitely helpful to, I think the people that know where to look, um,
Yeah.
that they have that ability to see what's in there.
Awesome. This has been, I really appreciate you taking some time and sharing with us. As we kind of as we're wrapping up, do you have any advice or, you all have obviously, you're managing a team, you're producing a lot of work, and you've also kind of, taken control of and, done the change management of revamping your processes, implementing a project management or an approval tool. You have any suggestions for folks that are in maybe a similar boat or a little bit earlier in the process than you are?
I will say team communication has been invaluable. We do in services. We don't do it's not regularly scheduled, but
Mhm.
when enough things come up that we need an in service, we do it in service. We record them. We have a Google Doc that people can go look at that have all the information in it. And I will say that having that type of information that people can go back to again and again, like as they need to. Oh, I forgot how to do this. Let's go to the project and service that we talked about, or
Gotcha.
whichever one. Um, that has been so useful. Uh, you can train as much as you want, but having resources for them to go to outside of training is so helpful.
That makes sense. So keeping lines of communication and having
Right.
both kind of synchronous touch points and then asynchronous resources so they can actually implement whatever the
Yes.
process change or the system change or whatever. Awesome.
Yes.
Janelle, anything that you wanted to add that I missed?
I mean, I agree with Dawn. We were just talking about this with another one of our team members is that, the way that's worked for us is that we've pretty much written everything down, written our
Yeah.
process down, and then as we've needed to, gone back and rewritten it or edited it and stuff like that. So not even just within me and Dawn, but other members of our team can, like she said, go back, reference it, and have that. It also saves us from having to repeat it to them over and over.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's kind of
absolutely.
like a here is the resources that we have provided to you, so it saves us some of that time. But um, I feel like with
And it's
team,
not just in my head. It's written down so that Jhanelle can reference it if she needs to say I'm not available. She can reference it and do, whatever needs to be done. So
Not just having not just having the process, not just having the visibility, but making sure folks are empowered so there's not a single point of failure
yes,
if
yes.
something happens. Awesome.
Mhm.
Well, this has been really, I appreciate you both taking the time to talk with us and join us on this call. So Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm excited. Folks that are watching, tune in to the next Behind the Process and let us know what you think.